Hi, everybody. Welcome to the KPRC 2 Plus, KPRC 2 Sports Plus, I might add, our new podcast, episode number 3. Great to have you with us. Randy McIlvoy alongside Ari Alexander, spending a few minutes with you here as we get ready to talk Texans here for just a few minutes today, Ari. And you and I were talking, man, we've been counting down to the start of training camp. It's been a busy offseason for the Texans, and now it all gets going on Friday with that first practice bright and early at 8 a.m. A new era begins. Lovie Smith and some guys that hopefully year 2 is going to be a big one for some of these guys.
Yeah, it gets brighter and earlier because Nick Caserio has a press conference at 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
On Friday morning.
Can't wait. Couldn't he have just done that Thursday?
After practice, yeah.
Or Thursday. I mean, like a day in advance, maybe.
So then they practice at 8, and they'll talk to the players at 10. But a lot of different things going on with the Texans because this team is in the, I wouldn't say the middle of a rebuild, probably closer to the beginning of a rebuild.
Yeah, still I think on that front end.
And the big question is, of course, like most teams, is at quarterback. Is Davis Mills going to make a big enough step in year 2 as a third-round pick, which I think is very rare that third-round and later picks turn into good quarterbacks, that the Texans will not need to try to draft a guy high next year?
Yeah, that's their goal. I mean, I think that's the number one question. And I kind of hope they don't, the PR folks are going to kind of control who talks out there. It's not like the good old days where they were walking off the field to practice. This is like pre-Bill O'Brien and Kubiak and those guys. Literally, when practice was over, these guys, they were soaking wet from being out there to practice for 2 hours. But it was a free-for-all. You can grab whoever you want. But now it's been kind of controlled, more so with Bill O'Brien and post-COVID, all that kind of stuff. But I hope they make Davis Mills available day 1, Friday.
I would assume.
Not make us wait. We need to hear from him.
I'm thinking if I had to guess, Brandon Cooks, Christian Kirksey, and then you got to talk to the quarterback. So Mills, I would imagine, would be one of the guys available. But it'll be interesting to see what he can do. I know I've talked to some people, not necessarily within football, but within the fantasy football industry that are very, very interested specifically in the Texans because they're not rated highly as a team. They're a big sleeper, and they really like Davis Mills, Nico Collins, and Brevin Jordan. Those are the 3 guys that the fantasy industry is thinking are going to break out.
Why not? I mean, everything I've read on Pep Hamilton, you've spoken with him too, and during the offseason, his offense is going to be a new look offense. There's no doubt, but he's tight end happy. I mean, Tim Kelly was too. He wasn't afraid to find the tight ends, but Pep Hamilton, his history loves to incorporate the tight ends into his offense. So why not open it up for Brevin Jordan? I think he's the best one in the group right now when you look at those tight ends. And he really made strides last year breaking in with the Texans.
Well, we'll see what happens with how they use the tight ends because under Tim Kelly, and then even toward the end of the year, they run a lot of double tight end sets because they wanted to run the ball. And they would mix a guy like Anthony Auclair, who is just a blocker. It'd be shocking if he catches a pass with Pharaoh Brown, with Brevin Jordan. So I think that they're still going to do that. And I just don't think that you're going to see Pharaoh Brown and Brevin Jordan on the field at the same time.
Yeah.
And so who's going to get more targets? Who's going to get more playing time? A guy who's a little bit more of a vet in Pharaoh Brown or the second-year guy that Caserio specifically drafted in the 5th round of Brevin Jordan?
Yeah, I agree. Back on Davis Mills, I mean, that's – every day, I can't wait till we get out there and practice. Everybody's going to be looking, okay, Mills looks good. He's delivering the good balls today. To tight one to Nico or Brandon Cooks, whoever it was. The spotlight is clearly on him. This is a crucial year for Davis Mills. And you know what? He's had the full offseason. Last month of the year last year, he really took strides in the positive direction, just confidence there in the pocket. Being comfortable with this offense, making some tough throws. I think he grew up and really showed the potential. I'm not saying he's there. He's not even close there. But this year, he's got the keys, man. The keys to this offense belong to Davis Mills. He's got to step up. I know the competition's there. On the schedule, it's going to be tough a lot of weeks. But he's got to prove he can be the long-term guy, or they're going to be forced to go that direction again in the offseason and leading up to next year's draft.
Well, he's just an interesting quarterback because there's 2 schools of thought on him. There are those in the league that look at him as a backup. And then there are those in the league that look at him as a guy that only went in the 3rd round because he was constantly getting hurt in college. And then last year, he played all year with the Texans, had 0 injury issues and no even hint of injury issues, was perfectly healthy and no problems this offseason or anything like that. But he was a guy who was an Elite 11, 4-star talent coming out of high school in Georgia, went to Stanford, and all the physical tools have always been there.
Right.
Then he just kept getting hurt, and so he dropped in the draft and ended up going in the third round. And there's been struggles for third round and later quarterbacks over the last decade. I look back at it, and Russell Wilson, I think, doesn't count. He's an outlier. He got drafted late because he was short. The two guys that have been successful in the league are Nick Foles and Kirk Cousins, that are third round and later, and everyone else has really, really struggled third round and later. And so that's where you look at is just what's the history of that. But then Mills, I've heard from some people in the league, could have had a first-round grade if he just wasn't hurt. And it was one of those, hey, is this guy going to stay healthy? We're not going to stick a first-round grade on him. And so those are the two schools of thought with him. There are times that he showed flashes of he has all the physical tools. Texans can score a little bit. And then there are times where, like, yes, it was a rainstorm in Buffalo, but I remember it was 40-0. I was there in that game, and it's just the offense does nothing. And how much of that is Davis Mills? How much of that is that they try to run the ball with the team that can't run the ball? But there were just times that their offense did nothing, like 6 straight drives, and they'd have like 43 yards over all of those drives.
But you're right. That's not necessarily, I mean, some of it might have been on Mills, but it may not have been all on him. When you got an O-line that wasn't that good, horrible running game. I want to see, as a guy who covers the team, and just as a fan of football, I want to see him in a fair situation to see what he looks like.
That might not be this year.
It may not be this year, but we're not going to know his potential unless the offensive line is improved, gives him a chance. They have a running game, and then I want to see how he reacts. And if he fails, he fails. I mean, you're right. It may not be this year. I'm hoping they're better, though. I'm hoping that offensive line is better with Laramie and Titus. You got Kenyon Green now on that line. I think that O-line is going to be better, and I don't know yet on the running back. I don't know if Pierce is a guy or Mack. I mean, who knows?
Mack is coming off that Achilles, but he had really good talent. I remember watching him in college. I was back when I used to cover Memphis. He played at South Florida, and he broke off like 2 80-yard runs, and the guy had burst. And before he had this Achilles injury, he was a good player for the Colts.
Right.
Dameon Pierce looks like a guy. Like he looks like he's tough. He's got like the swagger.
And he's a great interview, man. I mean, this guy loves when the cameras are on him.
Burkhead, I think, is definitely going to still get carries. They love Rex Burkhead. And then I was looking at this. They have Royce Freeman. I forgot who's their 5th guy, but they have Dario Gunbowale. So I heard somewhere throughout the league that Ogunbowale has looked really good this offseason. Okay. And so they have potentially 5 guys that could be relatively useful running backs. Right. All 5 aren't going to make the team. Yeah. But Ogunbowale had some excitement with Jacksonville a couple of years ago and then got hurt, and then James Robinson came up and he was gone. Royce Freeman started games for the Broncos. Marlon Mack started games for the Colts. Like, they have a little bit more depth there. And the O-line, as you said, if Kenyon Green turns out to be a good player, their issues in the middle, it'll be closer to being solved.
Drastically improved. He steps up, and I think he will. I'm excited to see him. But you got to get that running game taken care of. I mean, the Texans basically gave it away. When you look at the numbers on first down and I think second down too, I think they led the league in that they use running plays. I mean, they've got to change that approach.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you got to be able to throw the ball and get creative, and I think Pep is going to try to incorporate that. It's not going to be first down and 10. You're going to hand it off. Everybody knows the opponent. That's just a giveaway. They knew what was coming last year, and hopefully they'll open it up and keep some teams off balance. But receiver, I'm excited to see Nico. Man, I was really impressed with Nico, his size, how he developed. You got Cooks. Cooks is unbelievable. Since I think 2014, there's only 5 or 6 receivers, I think.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of
that have more yards than he does since 2014. So this guy's consistent, and yet he's played on multiple teams, man. He's just hopped around, but he's fit right in wherever he's landed. So
he's been a good player for a long time. He's a good locker room guy from everything that we've heard from the Texans. Yeah. That was a question I asked Nick Caserio before the draft. Who do you put on your season ticket picture? Like when you send out the little season ticket packet to the fans, do you even have a guy that you could put on there? And Cooks kind of seems like he might be the guy.
I think he's one. Do you put Davis in? I mean, they've said all along he's their guy.
I mean, he's a quarterback, so maybe you do, but he's not. I mean, it's like
maybe they have 2 versions that can.
I don't know. Then
but you're right. You're limited. You don't have.
It's like Brandon Cooks, and that's it.
Yeah, you don't have.
Amu, Desmond King, Christian.
Those
Kirksey,
aren't guys.
Jonathan Grenard.
There's a certain type of player. Those are good players, but you got to have a household name. Cooks
is the only one.
That resonates with the fans, and you're limited. Yeah,
like Tunsil and Cooks, but then Tunsil's like a tackle.
I think it's Cooks, man.
It has to be. He's the only guy.
It's got to be Cooks. But all right, defensively now, offense has gotten so much attention. One thing I'm looking forward to in camp and preseason is this defense. And because most of the conversation is dominated by Pep Hamilton this, Davis Mills this. Yeah. But, man, the defense has a few good players. They got these rookies, and we talked about it on Sports Sunday, too, with Sarge. And I think a lot of people want to see these rookies healthy, but what they can do. Stingley, Petrie, Christian Harris, the linebacker. I think a lot of people are fired up about to go with some other pieces they've already got in place. Grenard, playmaker last year.
And healthy now.
Yeah, and healthy. So, hey, man.
Jerry Hughes.
Yeah.
Malik Collins is very good. One of the most underrated D tackles in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about what they can do. Of course, Lovie Smith, as head coach, that's his thing. He's going to have his hand on that defense, and hopefully they can make plays. But they've got playmakers there, but offense obviously gets all the attention going into the start of training camp. But we'll hear from Nick Caserio on Friday.
7:30 in the morning.
I wonder if he'll actually give us anything. Probably not.
Says a lot of words that don't mean anything.
Yeah,
great talker.
He is,
not a lot of meaning behind it.
You don't know which direction what path he's going to take on a particular soundbite, but we will hear from him. And again, I kind of wish they were doing it like most teams when they make their GM or owner available the day before camp. Cowboys did that yesterday, like they always do with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. I think that'd be actually a better way to do it. Get the Caserio stuff out of the way on Thursday.
Yeah.
Hey, man, it's more coverage for the Texans. Give it to them. And then Friday, man, I don't know about you. I'll be there and listen to Caserio, but man, I want to hear from players and Lovie. Some of these other guys starting on Friday.
See what some of the new guys are getting in. I mean, how the rookies are coming in. I think that's one of the biggest pieces that they're excited for is instead of having a team filled with a bunch of like vets that maybe a lot of teams didn't necessarily want or didn't want at a certain price point, you're now excited about these rookies, right? Jalen Petrie, Christian Harris, and Derek Stingley are genuinely guys to be excited about. I think Garrett Wallow, linebacker, is going to take a big step. I know a lot of the players on the Texans have a lot of respect for him. And
big role last year.
The athleticism and just the raw tools might be a little bit until he puts it all together in the NFL. But other players on the Texans think that Wallow hits hard. He's athletic. He's a good player. Harris is going to be interesting. He's super athletic. And then Stingley obviously has the profile. And I've heard a lot of good things about Jalen Petrie. I would not be surprised if Jalen Petrie is a starter week 1.
Man, I can't wait to see this guy play. And where will they use him? That's what I want to see. Because he played different. I mean, he played all over the field for the Baylor Bears, but in this particular defense, will he hang in the back? Will he seem close to the line a little bit? He can play, and he's very versatile. So how they use him and his talents, I think Jalen Petrie is going to quickly become, just as Justin Reed did, a fan favorite when he's out there on the football field. So camp opens Friday. Saturday is the first day that fans will be able to come out, and I believe they're breaking out the red helmets on Saturday for that practice. So it'll be the first time fans can check that out as well, the new alternate helmets for the Texans. But that is that. The Texans training camp begins, and they'll have 3 games. The Saints,
Niners,
Rams,
and Niners.
Yeah. And I think only one road game. I think the Rams, that second game, but then they close out only 3 games now.
Prime game on a Thursday with the Niners.
I think it's with the Niners,
August
right?
25.
So yeah, and then they start early September. Was it the 11th? I think against the Indianapolis Colts at NRG Stadium. But we'll have you covered. KPRC 2. We'll be talking here as well with podcast and click2houston.com as well. So we'll wrap it up. That's it for now to kind of get you in the mood of football, and we will be there with coverage starting on Friday when the Texans open training camp out at NRG Park. So we'll wrap it up. For Ari Alexander, I'm Randy McIlvoy. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you again. Remember, our KPRC 2 Sports podcast is each and every week, different topics. It'll be us. Chancellor Johnson will be here doing it as well. We'll have guests as well throughout the course of the year. We'll have a lot of fun with us. So thanks for hanging out and tuning in here today. We'll talk to you soon.